How's that, huh? All right, let's call to order the January meeting of the Easthampton Historical Commission. The first order of business is public speak. And I guess we don't have anybody speaking publicly, right? Nobody's got anything, okay. The minutes, I guess we're gonna have to table that because they ended up being a blank sheet, so we'll have to figure out what happened with those. And as soon as I do that, I will give them to you. All right, next up, correspondence. We have a couple of things. We'll take Barbara LeBombard first. Would you like to tell us about the email you sent me?
Sure. Sorry it was so late too, but I just kind of pulled it together. So it actually was almost exactly a year ago that I came to you guys looking for your support for the first phase of our records management program. And that was the survey that was to be done by King Information Systems. So that was completed in September. I sent it to Mike. I don't know if you sent it to everybody or not, but I
did not at this point.
Okay. It's this long, it's pretty much just a listing of everything that the records analyst found in every single nook and cranny all over the place. Pretty much listing everything that she found. So it's interesting. There's a lot of stuff. And she also, at the end of it, gave some recommendations for the next step, including some estimates. Just as information, the archives project grand total for everything except for the only thing, Mike, it doesn't include like your plans and maps out at the water department building. That's a little more, that is not included right now. It comes to $91,000. So in looking at this, I had a meeting last week with the mayor, and we've kind of decided to take this in parts, which was the plan all along. And the first part would be to do the 50 Payson Avenue, which is really the most important one, and the basement of the old town hall. The reason adding that basement of the old town hall is because there's some records there that are kind of related and similar. So the grand total of that project rounded up comes to $65,000. So what the plan is right now is that we're going to go to the CPA committee. I'm going to go to the CPA committee at their next meeting and look for $15,000. And the reason $15,000 is that in the end kind of ends up being about what it would be to do the old town hall part of it. That is where the oldest records are, and the ones that are moldy and mildewy, and in the vault that has pipes going through it. And it really has some of the oldest, our oldest records. I'm not going to say that every one of them are super important, but that's where our oldest records are. We're going to be using cannabis money. The mayor felt like that was okay for $50,000, and that actually we hope to be going to the city council for at the next meeting. And so that would allow us, by going for that first part right away, we can get going on the 50 Payson Ave part. So what I'm looking for from you guys is kind of your support of the $15,000 that I'm going to be going to the CPA committee for. I can explain it more, but that's the general gist of things.
I think we, well, I understand where you're going with it. Anybody have any questions about this?
No questions. I would just iterate my support given the familiarity with the project and how it fits with our goals. And I would back stressing the concept that the Old Town Hall records are potentially the most in danger and or the
Definitely.
logical starting point.
Yes, I completely agree. I would love to see the list, but I know you said you sent it to Mike. But
I'll forward that to everybody. So
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, but absolutely support this completely.
I guess the one question I have as far as when this gets done, what would be the accessibility for regular kind of people to?
Yeah, so what the record, what's going to happen is that once we have the chunk of money, they're going to send out a supervisor and 2 staffers. I'm reading this from the report.
Okay.
And they're going to go through every single box and everything, you know, they're going to go through all the stuff that was on the records report, and they're going to look through every one. And that's when they'll really get down to the point where they'll say, this needs to be saved, this can be disposed of. And they're going to rebox everything. The money, actually, the old town hall, we're going to move some of the shelving from 50 Payson Avenue over to the old town hall. But things are going to be reboxed, reorganized, and then they're also going to, as they're doing it, they're going to be inputting it into the database. The database is part of this phase. So we'll really know what we have, and we're going to know where it is. So if anybody, you know, reaches out to me about something, I can just go to the database and I can look it up, and I can know like go right to a particular box in a particular location. That, you know, the 2 locations we're going to do right now are just our 2 buildings, but I mean, I can't say how much easier that's going to make things. I mean, not that some of these records are really ever, you know, we have some old voter registration records, we have marriage intentions, we have treasurers, you know, really old ones like that. But at least we're going to know where they are, and we're going to know that they've been looked at and reboxed and moved out of the vault. And I just think it's going to make things a lot better, because we're going to know where things are, and we're going to know how to get to them if somebody asks. So down the road, not included in this part is
I'll
microfilming.
be right back.
But that's the next step, is doing some microfilming on things, and then we can destroy the originals and just have the microfilm, and then they would be accessible. So.
Can I ask if digital microfilm is being discussed, or are we talking about?
Yes, yes, not the old real kind, it would be digital. Yep, it would be accessible on like a computer.
Excellent.
Yep.
You said some would be moved back to Old Town Hall. Would they find a more secure and dry space than down in the basement?
Well, I think for now, the things that are in the town hall that we have to save will stay in the town hall. There in the town hall, Beverly, have you been in the basement at all? Has anybody ever been there?
Yeah, it's kind of, I've been down there and in the jail and stuff. It's really gross.
Yeah. Well, the quote vault, that's the room that all of the old stuff is in right now, and there's pipes going through it, and there's moldy records in there. But down the hall from that, there's this big space that we have plastic shelving in, and it's all kind of falling all over the place. So I think the
Right.
stuff that's in the vault would be taken out of there, because that's not a good spot, and it would be reboxed, and the shelving would probably be in that large room down the hall. Now, eventually, I suspect with city space and their plans that we may need to move all of that stuff out of the town hall, but the work being done at 50 Payson Avenue is going to free up so much space that hopefully the stuff that's winnowed down and is important will have room for it eventually at 50 Payson, because I think eventually city space is going to want that stuff out of there. But
Well, for what it's worth, I'm sorry, Bev.
No, please go ahead.
All right. No, I was just going to, again, voice my support in that I think that one thing that it's worth always making sure people understand is until you pull everything out, inventory it, and reduce it by whatever degree you can, you don't know how much storage you need.
right.
So in order, that's the logical thing. And for what it's worth, given I'm currently in a library and working on a big archive project, I would also encourage people to understand that once it's digital, usually the information is really what's much more valuable than, as a piece of paper, you're not going to frame it and put it in a museum. It's the facts that are on it and the access to them that's the valuable part.
Right. Right. I think the microfilming will come as money is available. I mean, the company does microfilming, and things will be separated out. So when we're ready to do it, we'll know what we can take to give to them to microfilm. Yeah.
I was just curious who, you said that there would be 3 people deciding what was going to be saved and what was not going to be saved.
Well, there's a supervisor and 2 staffers that will go through everything, and they're not going to just throw it out. They're just going to separate the things into what we need to keep, what's potential for microfilm, and then what, according to the state records retention manual, is eligible to be disposed of. And then they will help us with the process of applying to the state to get permission to dispose. And then only after the state approves that can we start to dispose of stuff. But there's a whole record retention schedule that we have to follow. There's some things you have to keep, but other things have a certain retention period. And after that, you can request permission to get rid of it.
Who are the supervisor and the other 2 people? Are they Easthampton people or are they?
Oh, no. There's a company, the company that did the survey, they're King Information Systems, that's done tons of other communities in the state. And they send out their archivist, and they go through all of the stuff. I wouldn't even pretend. The reason we're hiring them is because I can't do it. I don't have the knowledge, where they're more familiar with the retention schedules and the problem with the retention schedules is it may say one thing, but your records, it doesn't exactly match up always with what you have. Different names for different things, and they're much more familiar with that than me.
I guess my curiosity or concern was that if there were documents that pertain to local historical significance that was not necessarily coming up on their personal radar, as they're not from the area, that we not lose anything.
Right. I think there's a time, maybe John, you know better than me, a certain year, like records older than a certain date need to be kept no matter what. But I mean, I think they would understand. A lot of things would be maybe like payroll records or, correspondence and things like that. But I think beyond a certain year, you have to keep it no matter what.
Yeah, I don't profess to have any knowledge of the specifics on that, but I suppose the thing that, if I might interpret the intentions of the group, maybe what would satisfy everyone is just in the interim of, after having defined this as something likely to go to the shredder, if then as a group we have access to knowing what that is and the opportunity, if we wanted to, peruse it for anything that has more of a, I don't know if it's the right way to put it, but like, colloquial interest historically. So we'd have a chance to grab it out, but that's really, go ahead.
Yeah, they would certainly be, I would be involved with looking at the list, and there's some things that are clearly like, we can get rid of these things. Their auditor, their payroll, their bill schedules, things like that. But I would certainly, I think they would just separate it and have me look at it. And I guess I would trust them, but I would definitely have a chance to look at it, and the state would have to authorize it too. We can't just throw things out. We have to get permission from the state.
And I guess the only thing I'm asking is, we'll know that list of things before it goes out.
I can, as they're created, I can certainly send them on to Mike and he can share them.
Yeah, maybe it's just for reassurance and
Sure.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep.
I forwarded your email, so everybody should have that by now.
Yeah. It's kind of an interesting read. She kind of wrote it in kind of a interesting format.
Yeah, like I said, I was just kind of breezed through it a little bit. And,
Yeah,
you know,
it's
and
long.
the
It's pretty
parts that
long.
you had pointed out. All right. So,
So is it a letter of support that you need from us, Barb?
Yeah, I mean, it just just a really short little thing would be great. Then I can include it with my application for the CPA money. And like I say, it's just
Okay.
going to be 15,000 out of the 65. So a small portion.
well, I guess if we get a motion to write a letter of support, and we can take a vote on it.
I make a motion that we write a letter in support of Barb's request for
15.
15,000 to support this project in direct support of the archives project.
There you go.
Okay. So the motion is to support the, whose project would this be? The
I would call it like phase 2 of the records management project. How about that?
Okay,
Sounds good.
I'll second the motion.
excuse me?
I'll second the motion.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure we
Aye.
get the motion right. So it's basically a motion to support the phase 2 of the records project. Is that what you called it? What did you call it again, Barbara?
Records management project.
Records management project. Okay, and that would include writing a letter of support to the CPA committee, right?
Yep.
Okay, and we have a second of that motion. All in favor, let's start with John.
Aye.
Beverly,
Aye.
Nora,
Aye.
Tracy,
Aye.
and I will make it unanimous. Okay. Well, thank you very much. If you want to stick around and watch the rest of the meeting, we can do that.
Probably won't, but thanks so much for squeezing me in so quick and getting me on the top.
Oh,
of
no
the
problem.
agenda.
I
I appreciate it.
we knew somebody in the clerk's office that could squeeze you on
I
the
know.
agenda. So
I was just lucky that I remembered you were meeting tonight.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Barbara.
Okay. Bye.
New
Bye-bye, Barb.
Okay. Now it's just the 5 of us. Jamie's on vacation this week. So I don't, I got kind of a lot of stuff. I don't know how much we're going to move any of these things forward, but as far as correspondence, we did get an email from a Greta Schwackman from 15 Prospect Street. That's Nora's neighborhood. And she had reached out before, and she saw that we were doing a new historic survey. I was hoping that she could be kept in the loop if anything turns up about her property. I'll kind of read this. I have previously reached out about my property at 15 Prospect Street. I saw that you're commissioning a new historic survey, and I was hoping you could keep me in the loop if it turns up anything about my property. I have made some progress with my research and would love to add to the historic record of the home if that's a possibility. So just kind of
Do you know what number? Do you know the house,
15.
Nora?
Yes, it's across the street, and I've met the woman. She seems really nice. I think it's divided into a 2-family, and I've never been inside the house, so
Also, she has a postscript, which I would kind of like to read. Also, P.S. Does anyone currently operate the Historical Society in town? Would love to see it used as a resource, but the last time they updated their Facebook was in 2014. Do you happen to have a contact for them? Would love to get involved there if possible. Any help, anybody?
Well, we're being recorded.
Haven't heard a word about.
We're being recorded. Yeah.
I wish all that information and all those records were everyone's property. And
Yeah.
it wasn't kept in one person's private possession and not being inventoried.
Are they, well, they'd be closed for the winter now, I would imagine anyways, right? I don't know if they were opened at all because of the COVID, so probably not.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah. I mean,
They used to be open just on Monday, so I don't
That's
know.
right, yeah.
You know who might know is David Boyle,
Okay. We can, I can check with
because
them.
he was, I forget, what was it, Perrier was the head of it, but she doesn't even live in Easthampton anymore. But I think he might have been on the board.
Yeah, it would be nice to get at least some information because people ask all the time about it, and be kind of nice to see if, you know.
Yeah,
we can-
historic Northampton is so active, and it's just amazing all the programs they have and what
Yeah,
doesn't happen.
you know, it definitely takes people to get involved, and if that's not happening, for
Mhm.
whatever reasons, you're not going to get much done.
Yep.
Okay, anybody else have anything to comment on that little tidbit there?
Only that I'd add, I think there's a real clear indicator that there's a lot of people. This is like the fourth or fifth that I've heard of without any solicitation of people who are interested in researching their home's history.
Yep.
And I would love for us to figure out ways to better support that. I don't know if maybe we can get a volunteer group together and come up with some sort of.
You mean the researching the properties?
Well,
Or
both.
the,
Yeah, I mean, I think on one hand, the research part, we found out when we started doing it that a lot of that goes back to Northampton.
Yeah.
And so, sure, I still think probably the smart move would be to create sort of a guide if we came up with sort of like let's call it a flight checklist for people and let them know things right off the bat. Like, look, if it's before this date, you'll need to go to the Northampton Hall of Records. It won't be here in Easthampton. Things like that would help people out. But I also think if ever the day came that we could also then host some sort of, again, my imagination says like a wiki for people to post that information or make it easy for each other and people in a neighborhood to learn more about the histories of the buildings and the architecture, that might be a good thing. But yeah, mostly just reiterating how many people seem to want to be able to know more about their home's history.
And how it's a terrible shame that if there are actual valuable pieces of history, records, or information that are not available for public access, nor being saved or recorded in a way that can be shared down the line, that's a total disservice to the whole town and its history. So it would be really ideal to have access for everyone for their history's sake.
yeah,
Not to belabor the point too, but I guess I feel like at this point I should mention that I've not forgotten that the website that I would like to apply to the town to get some assistance on, which could potentially maybe help with something like that, is just the amount of overwhelm that I've had, and I have not tended to that. So, hearing people mention how it's been a while since they updated their website, and I know I'm guilty of the same thing. So I just want to acknowledge I have not forgot. I have not yet completed that task, though.
Those historical websites, I mean, how much can you update them?
Well,
It's not going to change,
a lot, I mean, all the information that is there is still pertinent and factual, but
Right,
yeah,
I'm just kind of being,
but cut
How's,
yourself some
how's your
slack.
audio? I was wondering if were you breaking up or just,
So far, I'm hearing everybody just fine.
okay. I wasn't sure, like towards the end of what you were saying, I wasn't sure if you just kind of stopped talking or if it was my
So some
audio.
of it has been, some of it's been wavering in and out
Yeah, kind
for
of,
me,
yeah, okay. I'm getting a little bit of,
But- of reverberation or something.
yeah,
I'm on
Could
camp.
be on my end.
I've got a really good signal.
good, okay, good. Also, correspondence wise, oh boy, it was, I wanted to get all this stuff straightened out. I was working on it last night, but as you see, I mean, this year has not started out all that great. We Beverly, you were a little more involved with this than I was about the grant proposal from Paleo West. I guess the Mass Historic had some issues with it as far as being the one bidder, number one. And some of the elements of what they were bidding on were not addressed in their proposal. So we did have a Zoom meeting with them on last Wednesday. I was kind of a little bit out of the loop, so I really, you know, and Jamie's been working on this more and really had more of a feel for it. So I was kind of just like sitting back going, okay, we'll have to take your word for, you know, what they're saying. But anyways, Jamie did get a hold of a Brian, Benjamin DeBasi, and asked for some more information. That was forwarded. I have not had a chance to go through the whole thing yet, so I will. I can forward that to everybody. I mean, y'all have the proposal, right? Paleo West proposal. Jeff Baggs, Jamie's on vacation. Jeff reached out to Mass Historic to see if they had any comments, if they had received the information and had a chance to review it. So he hasn't heard back from them yet, as far as I know. I haven't got, because I was copied on the email. I haven't seen anything. That was just earlier this afternoon, so wouldn't expect anything for a day or two anyways. But I will forward you that correspondence.
It was a pretty extensive proposal.
Well,
It took a while to go,
yeah,
it took a while to go through it. And then the questions they were asking were quite a lot of questions, and I responded to them briefly. But it seemed like a pretty good proposal overall.
well, you know, I think
And the people that would be involved had a lot of background.
yeah, I kind of, that's what I got from my looking at it, was that, geez, you know, they seem like, you know, it's a pretty big company. You would think that they know what they're doing. It wouldn't be like, you know, they'd be totally clueless. However, I think what the Mass
They've done it all
Historical,
over the country and bigger towns.
right, Mass Historical has no experience with them. So there was kind of a like, well, we don't know these guys, so we don't know what they can or can't do, and you know, are they blowing smoke? And some of what we were asking for in the request for proposals was not addressed in their proposal, I guess. I don't have that level of detail on it, so that's where I kind of was like, you know, a little lost. So that was the information that Jamie was asking for from this Benjamin DiBiase. And like I said, I got, you know, a 5-page letter which addresses those concerns. Also, I guess some of the projects were attributed to like one person, and so the question Mass Historic had was pretty much like, well, this one person seems to have done all these projects. The other people that were named as to be working on it haven't done any of this, and so that needed clarification. And I believe that was clarified in the in that letter. So, like I said, I will send everybody a copy of this. Anybody else or anybody actually want anything from me besides what you already have, or if anything that correspondence wise that I could help you with, let me know so I can get it out. I was hoping the minutes would be in here, but they're not. What I think I did was they must have been all selected, and I probably hit delete when I went to shut it down and then forward it.
Was it on Google Docs by any chance?
No,
Sorry.
it might be on the other computer at work. So I'm just kind of hoping it's either that or I'm pretty sure I printed it, and so I just got to figure out what pile of paper it's in. I have piles and piles and piles. So anyhow, I'm trying to think if there was any. Oh, there was a request for comments. I don't know if anybody saw that about the Abishan Hardware on Northampton Street. This
No,
really
I
has
didn't.
nothing to do with historical. It was just kind of sent out to us, so I figured I'd mention it. Basically, what they want to do is take part of the store and turn it into a CrossFit gym. So, no big deal there, you know. Kind of an interesting concept, I guess. It's like, you know, I didn't think Abishan's was so big that they could afford to give up some space, you know, at least, you know, that much anyways.
Unless they do it at the back.
Actually, I think it's
They
gotta
also
be
had a section. They had a section over on the left side where they used to have dog and cat food, and that seems to be walled off now. Maybe that's where they're proposing it.
No, it's actually on the front right. So like kind of where the
Really?
gardening and all that stuff was, yeah. Which I thought was kind of odd. I mean, just it should be in the. I think everybody has access to that shared folder from planning. I'm not sure about that. I mean, I tried getting into the demo delay one last night, and they wouldn't let me in until I basically had to reopen it and a couple of times, and finally I was able to get in. I don't know why eventually it kicks you off. So
That building is a new build, a new construction, and
relatively, yeah. I mean, it's been around for quite a while, but it's not a, you know, I don't know. Actually, it's a good question how old it is. I couldn't tell you. Let's see.
Didn't the Z-Wars own it years ago? They had a hardware store there.
I believe so, yeah. I mean, I can't remember what it was before Abishan's took it over.
I think it was a hardware store that was owned, I think, by the Z-Wars.
Yeah.
You
Was
know, they had a construction company.
Was it a
And
lumber yard?
part of that family.
Is that possible? Lumber?
That's
that
possible. I mean, that whole family, different branches, was involved in construction in Easthampton, and I think one brother had owned the hardware store before Obashan's bought it.
Yeah, well, they were all over the place. I mean, they were on Union Street for a while, and then they moved to Southampton, and then they came back over there. So they've been actually in that spot for quite a while now, right?
Obashan's or Z-Wars?
Yeah. Obashan's.
They've been there for quite a while,
Yeah, yeah.
but I think the building originally was owned by one of the Ziwar brothers or more than one of them.
Yeah, it's 168 Northampton Street. CrossFit's stronger than yesterday.
I'm just wondering, it's not, I'm guessing it's not a building
Not,
that is on our radar or,
I wouldn't think so. I mean, you can look it up if you want.
I wouldn't think so, no.
Like I said,
I wouldn't think it'd be on our radar.
it's kind of a, well, it's kind of like three different buildings anyways, isn't it? That little, on the front, you got the two, there's one on the side there, well, you said where the dog food was, and then the add-on in the back.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a historically important building. But why are we being asked about it?
Well, Curtis, who must be on the planning, maybe, planning board, sent this to the mayor, police chief, fire chief, and the building commissioner, DPW, city engineer, conservation, so, you know, blah,
Abundance
blah, blah, everybody.
transparency, but not something we need to act on, right?
I don't think so. I just brought it up because, you know, they did reach out to us. I kind of looked at it and so like, well, interesting, but not really anything that we need to worry about. So if you want to see the email, I can certainly forward it.
I'm okay.
You're good? You don't want more email?
No, don't need it.
Thinking actually there was plans there too, so. But if you can get into that, must be planning, the shared file there, you'd be able to see it too. So if anybody wants the link, I can send you that. And as far as, I think that's it for correspondence at this point. Let me just double check here. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And Barbara, like I said, Barbara just kind of hit me up yesterday or the day before, so. And I didn't really have a whole lot of time to deal with that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Anybody have any other questions or comments or anything? We can move right along here. No?
No,
Nope.
thanks.
Good. All right. So item number 5 is the demo delay bylaw, revising the current demo delay requirements, the ordinance and the requirements. I think Jamie and I have a couple of different ideas as far as what we're trying to do here. Jamie's looking at the ordinance in and of itself, trying to add things to it, and I'm kind of looking at associated materials, so make our job a little easier when we're evaluating a building. And I think we're both kind of agree on the addition of things like having signage if somebody's going to tear a building down and that. Not a whole lot's been done on it since the last meeting. You know, Jamie's gone through some of it. We do disagree on the lawyer's evaluation of you know, whether we could extend the demo delay, which, you know, obviously we did with Manny and the Dunkin' Donuts project. But that was something that he agreed that he would do if it came to that point. So that's that kind of helped us along in that. So like I said, as it reads right now, and I, you know, after kind of mulling it over in my head and, you know, rereading what the lawyer had sent, that because it doesn't state exactly what is required of somebody that wants to tear a building down and it gets delayed, we can't ask them to, did you make a reasonable effort? Well, it doesn't say I have to do anything here, I have to make a reasonable effort. Yeah, okay. So because of that, that does not allow us to, to tack on extra time and all that because, it's, you have to be specific, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
We need to define what we expect of them is
Exactly. Yeah. So
Right.
that would have to be in the ordinance. Even then, there may still be some, questions or, you're opening yourself up to legal battles or whatever. I don't know. I would think that if we did rewrite it, I would, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have council look at it. Jamie was of the attitude that we can just send it to city council and they can, they can iron it out. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'd like to kind of be all buttoned up, nice and neat, so we don't have to really worry about opening ourselves up to any kind of more trouble than we need. But at this point, what I'd like to do is actually, not worry about so much updating the current ordinance, writing it right now. I mean, or in the next couple of months. But I'd like to start out, at least outlining what kind of requirements we would want from somebody if there's like a pre-application for somebody that would kind of give us a jump start, and what kind of information we would require from somebody when they come for a demolition permit. I don't know how anybody else feels about it. So, I'm willing to, listen to anybody's ideas at this point. So that's basically all I want to say about it tonight. But if anybody else has anything, feel free.
Well, I guess I'll say that I think that the how'd you put it, the prequel is a good idea.
Yeah.
I think
pre-app,
that we would know before they're actually trying to tear it down that that's the intention, and give us an opportunity to have helpful information.
Right.
I would advocate, one of my advisors who I've always quoted often always advocated, start by defining precisely what you want and what you think it needs to be the best it can. And, there can be haggling and compromise after, but,
Right.
if you can't haggle your way up if you didn't put it in there to begin with. So I would just suggest we give ourselves as much cover and as much teeth and as much power to actually do what we consider our charge to be, which would be to protect the historic integrity of the town. So.
True. I'll agree with that. You make it as strong as you possibly can, and then, I mean, it's easy enough to say, okay, this guy's not gonna, nobody's gonna buy this for whatever, and back off on it or whatever. Then but it's pretty hard when you got a place that you want to save and you don't really have any teeth to be able to do it.
I guess my country roots come back to me when I think about the gate metaphor, right? Like, well, there's a point past which closing the gate is no longer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. Moving forward on it, like I said, I think Jamie's been doing some of the revision on the current ordinance, and I have no problem with that. I mean, the as I was telling her, is some of the stuff I want to get is kind of the nuts and bolts to help us more than anything, because I hate going into either public hearing or even just having somebody talking about something, going like, well, what am I looking at here? And why is this, you know, is it something we want to save, and why? You know, I mean, that's, you know, it's not because, you know, it's, you know, what makes things significant and all that. And
We started a shared document and maybe could just start
Yeah.
spitballing ideas about what we want to include or about what we want to accomplish. Would that be a good?
I think that would be a good place to start at this point, you know, and like I said, we
And-
already have that
and what-
folder. Go ahead.
And what we expect of the person who wants to tear the building down, the
Right. yeah.
steps they have to take.
I mean, one of the things that as I was sorting through some of this, I don't have this on the computer, but this is a flow chart of, I'm not sure what town it is, but they have an 18-month delay, but they have an application pre-screen, which they have as optional. So the potential applicant requests advisory review of potential demolition project. So that's kind of like the prequel to the whole thing. And so, you know, that would give us a heads up on some of these things. And the application, the official start of the project doesn't start until there's a demo application. And that's where we would, you know, like where we come in now. The only thing I guess that would make this a little more difficult would be like some developers or, you know, property owners won't want to give you the heads up on it either, you know. Others may. I don't know how that, you know, and I don't really know how to get that information out to somebody that might be, you know, looking, unless it's somewhere in the ordinance that, you know, it would be helpful if, you know, you do a pre-application.
I wonder if we could
things.
I was going to say, I wonder if we could get support on, let's say, either significantly identified structures or even just if we have some sort of, you know, beyond a certain point or within a certain area. I wonder if there's a way
Yeah.
to sort
Well,
of,
you know, I mean, sometimes with like 2 Payson Lane, I mean, you know, I'm over at Williston quite a bit, and you know, Jeff, you know, happened to come up to me months before that. He didn't tell me what the address was or anything, but it's like, oh well, I just want to give you a heads up. We got a property we're probably going to want to tear down. You know, we didn't. We were gonna renovate it, but it's just like too expensive to do, and you know, for what we got there. So, you know, somewhere there you could say like, okay, here, you know, here's some, you know, fill these materials out and get it back to me, and hopefully when you guys decide you want to do it, we'll have a jump on it. You know, certainly would, you would save some time if you could pre-application, and if you wanted to schedule a tour before they even apply. And then when you get into the public hearing, all that's already taken care of. You're not going, oh, we want to see it. Now everybody's got an idea what the place looks like, you know?
yeah, maybe part of the incentive for them is that we can say, so, you know, presuming there's not a problem, it will expedite the process.
Right, yeah. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I mean, it's, you know, because, you know, once they submit the application, that's when you have to determine whether it's significant or not. But if you know somebody's thinking about doing it, you know, everybody can get out there and take a look at it at their, you know, their convenience, or, you know, the owner's convenience whenever he wants to set up tours or whatever. You know, and then the process would flow like it does now after that point. And then adding the other things, like I said, the signage and the, you know, if there's no inventory of it, maybe, you know, should we require them to do an inventory? I mean, Manny was kind enough to do, you know, one just for that property down there. At least now you got something that you can throw into your files, and a little more, you know, characterized neighborhood. Some places require photographs of every side of the building, and, you know, some interior shots and whatnot. That might be helpful too. Because, you know, you get into a public hearing and you're going like, all we got is, you know, maybe we got the Macris report. They might have one picture on it. and maybe a description. Sometimes the descriptions aren't that good. So if we have a little bit more in advance, I think you're better able to make a decision,
Yeah, I think that's
especially
a great
quicker for the,
photos and things that then we could use in a public hearing, for example, getting those from the people who have the keys to the building makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
to me.
And even just to have all the views of the building is kind of something that's, it's not a bad thing. Because, if it does get torn down, you have a photographic, a record of it. This is what used to be here.
Record.
Oh, Nora's got to go somewhere. You able to see that, Tracy?
Yes.
Okay. Will this mess up anything? No, I don't think so. We have nothing that we're going to vote on. So.
No, I mean, I feel like I'm just like listening because, I think I might be the one causing all the feedback from this phone. So, like
I don't
was thinking.
I don't think so. I don't think there's any problem with you because I'm not really getting feedback. I'm getting a little bit of choppiness, I think is.
That's the word. No, I like what you guys are talking about, though. If Jeff gave you the idea of something's going to be something's going to be demolished, let us know where the property is, and then we can go check it out.
Right.
Have pictures or whatever, and then we can have a better idea of not going into a public speak or whatever, going into it blind as opposed to not knowing or having an idea of what we think.
Yeah.
How we should proceed. That's what that's a good idea.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Like I said, I think that the biggest issue is how do you make that known to, developer or, property owner that, hey, this is, I mean, I don't know if you could require it pre-application. Maybe not.
You just cut out from.
I did.
You just cut out on my iPad.
I'm still here.
Hello.
Hi. It must be on your end.
Yeah, you cut out.
Okay.
Are you okay, John?
Yeah, I can hear everybody.
Okay. Am I back?
I couldn't hear what you just said, Mike.
I was just saying, I think the biggest issue I have or problem with it is how do you get that information to a property owner that's looking to do a demo prior to an application that, he may be required to, or not even required, just kind of asked to do these things, out of being helpful. So, like I said, I think that would be the hardest part. How do you make that known to people, before they come in for?
Well, shouldn't the building inspector be part of this? Because he's the one where they have to put the applications in.
Well, the thing is, somebody buys a property and okay, they don't do anything right away, and then they go see the building inspector because they want to demo the place. And boom, you're already at that application point. So, you don't have the kind of the head start on it. That's all. I'm just wondering how would we do that? To get these people to know that, there might be a couple things that would make everybody's life easier prior to the application. That's all.
Well, if we write it all down and can share it with people, I bet that'll help make it clear to them our intentions, and maybe we can therefore ask for advice and what other people have done.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Make a kind of outline what I'm trying to to get at, or what we want to put in there. Aside from just the ordinance itself, like I said, Jamie's kind of like, oh, we got to change the ordinance, and I'm like, well, I'm looking at making my life easier, not just I want to do both, but I mean, some of it's more like, okay, what do we want? What do we want to see from people? They walk into the public hearing without usually a lot of stuff either. And they're going, I just want to tear it down. I don't, So I think, I think that's
So
probably,
giving them a list,
yeah. Like I said, how do you, how do you communicate that to
well, should
people?
the list come? Should the list, because we don't hear about it until the building inspector
That's
notifies us, but should the
right.
building inspector have a list that he would give out? Because, we're unaware of whether they want to tear it down until he contacts us.
Right.
So wouldn't it be wise to have him have the list to give out to anyone who wants to
Well,
draw
yeah,
a
yeah,
permit?
definitely. I think, the thing is, do we want to make, okay, you got an application to demolish a building, and here's what you're going to need to complete or bring to the public hearing. You got that part of it. You could have a
Or
pre-application.
even here's what you need to bring to the, here's what you need to bring to the historic commission even before we even
Prior,
talk
yeah.
about a public hearing.
But that's the other thing is you get the timelines and whatnot, because I think I'm not sure if it's an R demo ordinance or not, but you have so many days once they make the application to
Right.
the determination on that.
Right.
So it's, I don't know, is
Yeah.
it 30 days? I have a timeline somewhere, probably not with this stuff here. Anyways, yeah, so we could ask for it either prior to or as the application is being submitted to the building inspector, that, okay, when this may go to a public hearing, this is what you're gonna need. So I suppose you could do those things kind of concurrently.
Mhm. Yep.
And so, okay, the John Doe goes in to tear a building down, so he goes to see the building inspector. Building inspector says, okay, here, this is what you need to consider. This is what you're going to be asked for from the historical commission if they determine that this is a significant structure, and you'll go through public hearing. If it's not determined to be significant, then don't worry about it. But you may want to start getting this stuff together, because once the public hearing is scheduled, you're going to be asked for all this stuff. Seems reasonable.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, like I said, it's just hard to, like, okay, where does this come in? How do these people find out about this? A lot of these, like, really good ideas are like, well, that would be great if people knew ahead of time, but then how do you make them know? And I got some feedback on it was like, well, we're not worried about whether they know or not. They'll find out when they go to tear the building down. It's like, well, that's kind of, putting the cart before the horse, or you closing the barn door after the horse. John, you're the expert on that.
Yes. Closing the barn door
Horses,
after they've left the barn.
That's right. Closing the barn door as the cart has left the horse. Yeah. Whatever. All right. And, going back to the farm analogies, we don't want to beat a dead horse here.
No.
So I'll leave it at, start, if anybody has any ideas, I'll throw up some documents from different places. I need to sort through them and kind of like pick out the stuff I like. But I'll put in all the raw documents too, where I got the information from, so people can look at them, and we'll see what looks best. Sound good?
Sure.
Okay. Item number 6, we already kind of talked about that, so not really sure where we stand. I think I will forward the letter from that, let me think, Ben DiBiase. So everybody can take a look at that. And if anybody has any comments on that, you can certainly email me.
What is item number 6? I don't have an agenda
Item
in
number
front of me.
6 is the survey and planning grant. So we already kind of talked about it earlier in the correspondence part.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need to beat that dead horse either. Hopefully Mass Historic will be okay with this, then we can ask Paleo West to, take the project on. And hopefully, I certainly don't want this thing to go away. We already spent a lot of time on it, and it would be a shame if we, lost the grant to, because just not getting things done quick enough. So hopefully we'll know by the next meeting what the status on that is. And like I said, I'll forward that letter to go, along with everything else. I will, I know some of it was a telephone conversation, which I wasn't privy to, so I can't comment on that, but there are a few emails that Jamie and this Ben guy had back and forth, so I can forward all those if you'd like to take a look at it. Okay.
Yep.
All right, and item number 7, the canal. There's been not very much else going on with that. I'm not even sure when the next meeting is. I believe there's a request for quotes out there now. Yeah, I don't have anything that enlightening to tell you on that. So I guess that's basically the update there. 5 and 9 East Street. Not sure where that's going to go. That's up to planning now. And
There was a big article in the Reminder about the meeting that the planning board had.
yeah, I heard about it. I didn't see it, but
And it was a really good article, better than the ones that were in the Gazette.
yeah.
And it had to do with the fact that the Mass DOT is getting involved. The mayor went to the meeting and wasn't supportive of the project. Neither was, I think, one of the town councilors. And again, it has to do with the traffic study. And Manny, there's a proposal, I'm not sure who put the proposal forth, to put a light there at the intersection or do a roundabout at the intersection. And Manny is willing to spend $500,000 to put a light there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a very extensive article.
Yeah,
It was a little
he's.
scary.
I'm not sure if he's the one that brought up the idea of the stoplight, but he's willing to pay for it. So there's some money in coffee.
Yeah.
I sent him a letter about the extension on the demo delay. I had a phone conversation with him. I mean, I guess the only other thing to say about that would be if he doesn't get permitted, then what do we do then? I don't know if he's interested.
Well, the
in
next
tearing it
planning
down
board,
anyways.
the next planning board meeting where they're coming up again is not until March. So
Oh, really? Okay. So
according to this article, I couldn't go to the meeting. We were dealing with a plumbing issue with the tenant. But according to the article that was in the Reminder, it's put off till March at this point. Because I guess they're going to get Mass DOT involved and see what they feel about it.
Yeah, from what Manny was saying, it didn't sound like Mass DOT was all that interested in getting involved. But they would be, I don't know what their feeling was on the stoplight and all that. I think they were okay with it, but I'm not exactly sure. I mean, Um, so anyways, all we really have to worry about at this point is, if it happens or it doesn't happen, what's our next move on it? So, that's basically it. Anybody have anything else they'd like to touch on? We're not making any decisions anyways, so. No?
No, just thanks for the tip on the article, Bev. I'm reading it.
Oh, okay, all right.
You're reading it on the reminder. Is there the reminders online?
Yes,
They've had some good articles in it for Easthampton over the last couple issues.
Oh, I'll have to check.
No,
that out.
that little newspaper is really good. I like that one better than the
Yeah.
Gazette.
Yeah, no. It's all local,
Yeah,
right?
in terms
So,
of the Easthampton articles,
Yes.
it's kinda-
yeah, they really cover issues with Easthampton, which I think is interesting.
All right. Anything for next meeting? You want to get on the agenda? If you have some kind of pet projects or anything? Anything you'd like to see come up? Let me know. Schedule the next meeting.
I'd love to see when we can meet in person.
Yes. So much easier.
Probably in the fall. I would
Yeah.
think.
All right. How about a motion to call the meeting?
We need to, what's the motion?
I was asking if we're ready to call the meeting.
We need to schedule the next one first.
Ah,
I don't have a calendar right
my
in front of me.
calendar out. I can get a calendar out here.
Actually, I can too. That was my daughter was texting me. That's what that funny noise was.
Okay.
So let's see. A month from now would be
February
7th. Oh, 10th. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I need to announce that I will not be able to attend that meeting
The 10th.
on the 10th.
Okay. Do we want to switch the date to something else?
You don't have to on my account. I just have a prior scheduled thing that I'm hosting for the school.
We can have it at 10 in the morning.
I mean, if we
All right.
guarantee it would cap at an hour.
Cap the meeting at an hour.
Uh,
Yeah, that'd be nice, huh?
I mean,
I don't know how flexible you are as far as, time wise.
I could do that day, but just I've got an event that's gonna. I'm gonna have to-
I can go earlier. We don't have to be at 6:30. It's kind of like, just seemed to be more convenient for a few people.
Well, I don't want to make everybody bend over backwards to accommodate me. I'm going to go with whatever's good for everybody.
We do anything for you, John.
Thank you. I feel very supported.
Could do it.
You're the backbone of
Could do
the
it.
commission members.
Yeah, there you go. Well, let's, like I said, I don't.
You can switch it to another day
How about we do
too.
it- Excuse me?
To switch it to another day.
Well, I was thinking maybe we should do it the 17th, be the following week. If we have any breaking news, we can always schedule a shorter meeting for the 3rd or the 10th.
I guess I need to warn you that the 17th, what I've got is a series of events
You
that
want to
are
go on Tuesdays?
those Wednesdays. Yeah, for those Wednesdays for those 2 weeks.
Oh, okay, just those 2 weeks. If I said the 3rd, would that be a problem?
The 3rd I could do.
You want to do it the 3rd? I mean, that still gives us
It's
many
up
weeks
to
in
you all.
between.
Again, I don't have a
That's
conflict on the
3
3rd.
weeks. That's 3 weeks away. We may know something about the grant by then.
Do you want to tentatively schedule the 3rd? And if we do,
Yeah.
have it, and if we don't, bump it?
we could do that.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, so now we need a motion.
okay.
All right, so 2-3. 2-3-2-1.
Still at 6:30?
Still, yeah, sure. 6:30 is fine, unless anybody's got any other ideas.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn,
I move we adjourn.
second.
Second,
Third. All right.
Okay, all right.
Third.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
I'll find those
Okay.
minutes and get them out to everybody as soon as I can.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks,
All right, Michael.
Yeah.
Have a good night,
Enjoy
everybody. Be safe.
Wednesday. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.